So that's the reason why Sam Houston didn't kill Santa Anna, because he knew there were still thousands of soldiers out there and he needed some kind of leverage.
That was part of the deal, but I think it was also just that they were going to try to use him to help control the Mexican army. Santa Anna reassured them that the Mexican army would obey him even though he was a prisoner. And Houston and the Texans bought into it. Filasola and the other Mexicans did not, and they did not obey him. And that's part of the fascinating story of the Sea of Mud. Everybody, all the Texas history books says Santa Anna's captured. He orders the Mexican army to leave Texas. They tuck their tail between their legs and they leave Texas and obey Santa Anna obediently. And it's like, no, no, that's not what happened at all. So we've got Filasola at Richmond Rosenberg at Old Fort, is what it was called at the time. And then we got Urrea down in Brazoria and Colombia. And Filasola gets the word that Santa Anna's been defeated. There were about there were 4 or 5 guys came into his camp the day after the battle. One of them was the commander of Santa Anna's private bodyguard. His name was Miguel Aguirre. He was wounded in the thigh, and he tells Filasola that there's been this terrible defeat. He doesn't know if Santa Anna's alive or dead. He doesn't know how many Mexican soldiers have been captured, how many are killed. He has no idea, but he knows it's really bad. So Filasola sends word to Urrea to meet him. And they get together and they meet at Madam Powell's, which is a very small town of Kendleton, just on the border of Fort Bend and Wharton County on Highway 59. They meet there and they have a meeting of the generals and they say, what are we going to do? They still don't know what's happened to Santa Anna. They don't even know he's alive. So they decide what they're going to do is they're going to go back to Victoria and they're going to wait for orders from the Mexican government. And they decide they're going to go back the way Urrea had come north. They're going to go back down to Cases Crossing on the Colorado, which is near Bay City. So they were going to basically go down to Bay City and then Victoria. So the morning of the 26th, they head out. They met on the 25th. They head out the morning of the 26th. They're crossing the San Bernard River, and it starts raining, and it rains, and it rains, and it rains. And they make it across the San Bernard, but now they're trapped. The next day they go to the West Bernard River and they can't get across it. And so now they say, what are we going to do now? Well, that's the day, the 27th, that they get Santa Anna's orders. And all the Texas history books said Santa Anna ordered them to leave Texas, but apparently the Texas history historians didn't go back and read the orders. They're readily available. Santa Anna told half of them to go to San Antonio and half of them to go to Victoria. And they had another meeting and decided to ignore Santa Anna. He said, he's a prisoner. We're going to keep with our original plan. We're going to go back to Victoria and wait for orders from the Mexican government. Well, they couldn't go the way they were going, so they had to backtrack, and they went all the way up to the Atascocito crossing, which is about 8 miles south of present-day Columbus on the Colorado River. And that's where they were headed. They were headed to the Atascocito crossing, and it was continuing to rain now, and they got stuck in the Sea of Mud. Backtracking, the Sea of Mud is all along the Middle Bernard River. It's between the Middle Bernard and the West Bernard. It's an ancient ocean beach, and it's great for rice farming. It has a layer of clay and then a layer of sand on top of that. Well, the sand lets the water soak in, but it won't go past the clay. So it's just basically a bog, and they got stuck in this mud. It took them 2 weeks to get through it. And when you read Filasola, when you read De La Pena, who was one of the witnesses who made accounts, there was another witness, Sanchez Navarro. These guys, when they got into the Sea of Mud, they just couldn't hardly describe how bad it was. Filasola said that they were thigh deep in mud. And he said they had to take the cargo off the mules and carry the cargo to these little elevated hills. And then they had to go back and carry the mules. It's amazing to me that they actually made it through the Sea of Mud. You're looking at 2,500 troops, 12 to 1,500 female camp followers, about 12 to 1,500 mules, 120 wagons, and 8 pieces of artillery. And they got through the Sea of Mud. But after they were through the Sea of Mud, they were basically whipped. All the artifacts we have found in the Sea of Mud prove that they dumped a lot of stuff. They didn't have any fight left in them after they got out of the Sea of Mud.
So you said it took 2 weeks for them to get through. For our audience who doesn't know anything like about Houston area terrain, about how far was that they got through in 2 weeks? How far did they get in 2 weeks?
We're talking about 20 to 30 miles. It should have taken them a day to a day and a half.
Wow.
Now, some of them got there sooner. Urrea got to the Atascocito crossing in just a couple of days because he was ordered to go seize the crossing to make sure the Texans didn't get it. He got up there after just a couple of days, but they didn't finish crossing the Colorado River till May 9th. That's when the Mexican army finally finished crossing the Colorado River. And they did go back to Victoria. And Urrea had written the Mexican government, and he was so critical of Filosola that Filosola got fired as commander-in-chief, and Urrea replaced him as commander-in-chief. But Urrea had already made it to Matamoros by the time he was commander-in-chief. And he wrote back to one of the other Mexican generals, said, you need to stop the retreat right where you are. And the General Andrade, who was in charge of the troops in San Antonio, wrote him back and said, if we tried to stop the troops from retreating right now, they would probably kill us. He said their conditions are that bad. The troops are starving. They've got the uniforms are falling apart. They've got nothing, no will to fight. So we are not stopping. Even though Urrea commanded him to stop, it wasn't going to happen after they got out of the Sea of Mud.